Can and should you use the same approach for learning Arabic or Korean as you did with Spanish or German? After learning a ton of languages, I can affirm that while certain foundational principles of language learning apply universally, the effectiveness of specific methods can vary depending on the language being learned. Vamos a ello. Let's start by discussing the universal principles that are your bread and butter no matter which language you're tackling. Πρωταπόλα, η συνέπεια είναι το κλειδί. Without consistency, you're bound to experience misery. I know it sounds mind-numbingly obvious, but it's probably the most common cause for many language learners' frustrations. Nochmal, regelmäßige Übung ist entscheidend. Whether you're learning Spanish, Mandarin, or Russian, daily engagement with the language moves the needle towards fluency. Consistency builds momentum and keeps your language skills sharp. Om een taal op te pikken en die vloeiend te spreken, moet je een heleboel luisteren, lezen en kijken in die taal. Surround yourself with a language through podcasts, videos, media, movies, newspapers, and even comics. This kind of immersion helps you internalize the language and develop a natural feel for it. But it's not just about the quantity of input. It is also about the quality of it. Make sure you always consume content that is enjoyable for you, comprehensible and rich with new words, sentences, and information. That is how you build solid skills in reading, listening, and then speaking and writing. Uważaj języka, bo inaczej go stracisz. Listening, reading, and watching are activities conducive to develop that one cool skill you really want to get good at, speaking your target language. Once you've gotten enough input, which I call the critical language mass, to borrow some cool physics jargon, it's time to use the language. Actively using the language is essential for retention and for making the language part of your persona and your life. Speak with native speakers by engaging in interesting conversations. Write a journal regularly. And yes, even talk to yourself about some interesting thing that happened to you recently. As long as you engage and use your target language in ways you find engaging, inspiring, unique, and enjoyable, you're going to develop fantastic speaking and writing skills in a matter of months, not years. Ошибки – это часть процесса обучения. Without making mistakes, we can't improve. And everyone does make mistakes. So first, develop a mindset in which mistakes are your friends, not your enemies. Whenever you make a mistake, celebrate. It means you get out of your comfort zone and you learn something new. But making mistakes is only part of the picture. In fact, receiving feedback helps correct those mistakes and refine your skills. Even I had a recent blunder, mispronouncing a famous author's name while recording a YouTube video. But without my colleagues' feedback, I would not have learned how to say it properly, and native English speakers out there, you would have thrown some virtual tomatoes at me. It'll stay my little secret. And now, equipped with these key universal principles, let's take a look at the variants of methods. Vamos falar, antes de mais nada, sobre a complexidade ortográfica de uma língua. Different languages have unique writing systems, requiring tailored approach to learning. For example, Mandarin Chinese, with its logographic characters, requires different strategies than, say, Turkish, with its extended Latin alphabet. 例えば、日本語では漢字とひらがなを使います。For languages such as Chinese and Japanese, starting with phonetic transcriptions, downloading the appropriate keyboards to type characters, and aiming at character recognition are all key strategies. Hur man lär sig ord skiljer sig lite beroende på vilket språk man lär sig. When the vocabulary of a language contains words that are quite different from yours, it's always good advice to get a solid understanding of the single parts that make up these sentences. In Hungarian or Turkish, for example, breaking words into prefixes, roots, and suffixes can be incredibly effective. But for languages such as Spanish, French, or Italian, leveraging cognates, that is, words that share a similar form and meaning in two languages, like mama and mother, democracia and democracy, can greatly speed up the learning process. 学好一种语言的发音很重要. For non-phonetic languages like Danish or English for that matter, paying particular attention to how words are pronounced versus how they're written can make a huge difference. Ever heard of the famous poem The Chaos by Gerald Knowles Trinity? Here's a snippet of it to give you an idea of how messy English spelling actually is. Dearest creature in creation, study English pronunciation. I will teach you in my verse. Sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. For tonal languages such as Mandarin, Vietnamese, or Thai, a top-down approach can be a game changer. What the hell is a top-down approach, you might ask? Well, it's about focusing on the big picture first and the details later, on words, phrases, and sentences rather than the individual syllables and their tones. Compare learning the following sentence in Chinese like this: 我觉得中文很难, and like this: 我觉得中文很难. Which one is easier? Mandarin or other tonal languages students here, I know you know what I'm talking about. And now let's talk about syntax. What is syntax, you might ask again? Well, in a nutshell, it's the way words are arranged together to form meaning. Some languages have an SVO structure, subject, verb, and object. English is one of those languages. I am talking to John. But in others, you have a different order. In Japanese, for instance, the same sentence would be 私はジョンさんと話しています. Subject, object, verb. If your target language has a drastically different syntax than your native language, here's a simple recipe for success. 1. Start with simple sentences. Subject, verb, object. 2. Practice one-clause sentences before moving to more complex sentences. And 3. Gradually increase complexity. Trust me, it's why I suffered through Japanese, but I'm enjoying myself at Turkish. Inshallah bir gün Türkçeyi akıcı bir şekilde konuşacağım. Eccoci arrivati alla fine del video. Come nota finale, ricordati che universal principles of language learning provide a solid foundation, but each language is a story on its own, and adapting your approach, style, and mindset to Turkish, Russian, Swedish, or Japanese is essential for success. For even more details, check out a cool article I wrote about this very same topic. I left the link in the description box below this video for you to enjoy. That's it for now, lovely people. Embrace the amazing diversity of languages and cultures and enjoy the rewarding experience of becoming a polyglot. Good luck with your language studies, and as always, happy language learning, and see you in the next video.